One guy told me he's not coming. Yehoshua told me he's away. He's going to rely on the video.
Okay. All right. So welcome back. We had a 2-week break over here. I didn't get any emails. I was hoping at least some of you would send me emails with the confirmation that you sent in products and some sort of updates. Did any of you? I know that you did. Did any of you send in products?
Yeah, send them in, they cut them, and they're being listed.
And they're listed already, or
Huh?
they were listed already?
Yeah.
How about you?
I did not send it, I got it.
Yes, so I just want to,
I know it's important.
since I've had this discussion a couple of times this week in my office with a bunch of different employees, I'm going to just put this out there as a general rule to remember. You know, sometimes you ask a person, I would go over to an employee and I would ask them, hey, do you know where that item is in the warehouse? And they answer no. So they answered my question because they don't know where the item is. But generally speaking, if I'm asking a question like that, I probably want a little bit more than a yes or no answer. So a smart employee will say, no, I don't know, but I'm going to go check and I'll find out for you. Or I think he knows and I'm going to go ask him or whatever. So it's a general attitude thing in life. You're going to find, specifically in this business, you're going to keep on hitting blocks. You're going to keep on hitting challenges. And as an entrepreneur, as a person that runs your own business, you're going to have to find ways of continuously, instead of, oh, I tried, Amazon shut down my account, or I tried, I couldn't find anything to buy. And again, that may be the correct answer to the question. You may have really tried, but try to go with an attitude of your guide to Matzasi time that if you really try, maybe you need to do something different, maybe you need to ask some other people. If you get stuck, try to ask advice and always try to find a way to make it work and not an excuse why it didn't. And if you go with that attitude, you're going to get much, much further. So if any of you, and I pointed this out to you last time, if you hit a point where you just don't know what to do, or you hit a problem or a challenge or whatever, I've gotten one email, which is something. But if you have it, if you can call, you can email, and really it's designed for us to try to help you get it done, and not just for you to sit through some more classes in your life and spend more classroom time. You really want to do this and to make money doing it, so do whatever it takes to make it work. The agenda for today is buying. Buying, generally speaking, is the most important thing in our business. It's all about that. We discussed buying already, and we're going to continuously discuss buying because, quite frankly, everything has to do with buying. But I want to focus in a little bit more specifically on buying today. Hopefully, I'm going to send you then an email with some of the things that we discussed today to summarize, but the more you can pay attention now, the more that we can discuss now. Hopefully that will help you, guide you. I personally read tons of business books. I probably read in the last 5 years probably about 200 business books. And I noticed there's no way that I'm going to remember 300-400 pages of every book that I read, and as a matter of fact, there's some books that are pretty boring and I just slog my way through it. But one thing I noticed is that there's always something that sticks in my head, and then when I hit a situation where I need to think about what to do, like that comes back to me what I read. So I try to continuously educate myself. So I'm going to tell you, you're not going to remember everything that we discussed in this class, but when you're going to come to situations and you're going to think, oh, what should I do now? Hopefully you're going to remember different things that we discussed. So, just as a general intro to buying, there's 4 different things in buying, generally speaking. 4 different types of buying. First type of buying is that I have a product that I have, looking for the best way of expressing what I'm trying to say. There's a product-based buying, there's vendor-based buying, there's need-based buying, and then there's creating a need based. So, what do those different things mean? Product-based buying is that you have a product, or that you're looking, that you find the product and you want to sell it. So you say, I have access to, let's say, this power bank over here, and I want to sell it. Then you're going to see, can I make money with this? Where can I make money with this? Etc. Then there's vendor-based buying, which is I have a relationship with some company, maybe a manufacturer, maybe a distributor, maybe a friend of mine, and he can give me, or they can give me a certain type of product or a certain group of products, and I'm going to try to use that relationship to build up a business. And then you have need-based buying, which is basically you know that someone needs something, which means that, for example, on Amazon themselves will send you emails at times of items that are not represented on their website. Can you please send it in? Or maybe, let's say, one time you sold this battery, and then nobody's selling it anymore on Amazon. Amazon will send you an email, hey, nobody's selling this battery, and I know that you have sold it in the past, why don't you see if you can send in some more? So need-based buying is rather than you having a product, is that you know that there's a need out there for this product, and you try to fill that need by finding the product. And then there's the idea of you having the fourth category is mainly if you have your own brand, or if you're manufacturing, or if you're trying to build a product for someone else, which doesn't have its own traction, and you're trying to help build up traction around that product. So we're going to discuss all of them, all the different types of buying. One of the things I respect most about the way Mendy, specifically Mendy Lieberman, runs his company is that he has found a way of developing some really powerful relationships with manufacturers where it defies conventional wisdom as to how people do things. Most people always try to find a way around, because if you go right now to any company and you say, hey, I would like to buy your product and sell it on Amazon, they're going to throw you out the door. Absolutely, positively, if you have no relationship or nothing special going with the company, and you just say that I want to sell your product on Amazon, they don't want you and they don't need you. And they're going to find any reason to not sell to you. So you can take that approach and say, hey, they don't want to sell it to me, so I'm not going to buy it from them. Or you can take the approach that I'm going to tell them I'm going to sell it somewhere else. I'm going to tell them that I'm going to sell it to kindergartens. I'm going to tell them that I'm going to sell it to schools or who knows what, and then they're going to sell it to me, and then I'm going to sell it on Amazon. Which is something that a lot of people do, and I'm not even going to tell you that it's a bad idea, because quite frankly, very often that's a good way to convince a company to sell to you. But the ultimate approach, if you're buying brand name products, is to try to be completely honest and to have the company that you're buying from work with you rather than trying to work against you. It's a very hard thing, but this is the ultimate thing to aspire to. There's a few different ways of accomplishing that. Sometimes you just happen to be lucky. Let's say you're dealing with a company, it happened, I can tell you a company that this happened with about 5 years ago. Sony was very upset at Amazon. They said, you know what, you treat us like that, we are Sony, we don't want to sell you any products anymore. So Sony at that moment, you don't know what to do. I need my products on Amazon because Amazon has 200 million customers, but I don't want to sell anything to Amazon. So at that moment, if you happen to be the guy that has that relationship with Sony, they'll say, you know what, I want you to be my guy on Amazon. That would be the easy one if it just so happens to be, and you know what, it happens. You can go to a trade show, and go down and try to go from booth to booth. see who you can strike up a good conversation with.
How are you?
But it's not a guaranteed, and it's something that's getting harder and harder. I was once at a trade show and I was having a meeting with one of my suppliers, and I was sitting there at the trade show. I don't know if any of you have ever been by a trade show, but so there's this booth and then there's a few tables set up over there. We're sitting, we're having a conversation, and during the half-hour conversation, more than 100 Jewish people walked over to him and put down their business cards and say, "Hi, I buy clothes out. Do you have any clothes out?" And he's like, "Just put your card over here." And I was like just watching the pile of cards pile up. And after the meeting, he took the cards and he threw them out. So that's generally what's going to happen. That unless you can make yourself different and make yourself useful or have something special to offer to them, they're not going to talk to you. Right now, as you begin, I'm going to tell you two things. Number one is something I told you already, and I'm going to reiterate. Try to work with people or things that you have access to. Because it doesn't matter what you're buying, it matters who you have relationships with and what you have a specific connection to. Most people, if they think about it, if it's not close family, if it's not close friends, they can at least, they have a friend that's working for a company that manufactures ABC, or they have a friend that has a really good friend that, they call it degrees of removal, but you try to find something that already has some sort of a connection, because ultimately, the more of a human connection you have, the more of a chance you have to make a profitable purchase. That's number one. Number two, try to stick to products maybe that not everybody else is selling. You may find it, we discussed possibly we have a Schmerling over here that may have some connection to some Schmerling chocolate, but he may also, if he wouldn't have connection to Schmerling chocolate, he's from Switzerland. He may have connection to people from Switzerland, may have connection to products from Switzerland, may have connections to people from Switzerland, may have connection to people because he's from Switzerland. That's the type of thing that you want to use to try to build relationship. Ultimately, and Mandy, I think you can attest to that, 2 or 3 powerful relationships can make up literally 60 to 70% of all your business that's if done properly. And relationships need to be maintained. If you think about it right now, if I give you just a minute to think about it, you think, do you have any people or anything that comes to your mind right now that you have a special?
I just looked up Marmite.
Marmite, okay. Right, you're not from Australia, right?
What?
Okay.
I have a friend that does a lot of business in e-commerce.
That can be huge, by the way. Some of the relationships I built up over the years are because I happen to know someone in another country and they have a business that's successful in their country and they want their product to be sold in the US.
The 80-20 rule?
Right.
80% of your business is going to come from 20%, and of your products. I'll just tell you something. The company that we use for repricing, the Indian guy was in New York this week.
Right.
I spent 5 hours with him earlier. I went to meet him 6 o'clock in the morning. We went to some Verstunken hotel over here in Brooklyn, and he made graphs on his page because I said, I didn't even know that it works. He showed me how to get it to work. I said, what's this about? He goes, it's the 80-20 rule. I'm trying to show you that 80% of what you sell on Amazon is coming from 20% of your products. And his point is, like saying, grow those products, and if you want to know what to sell in all the other marketplaces, it's focus on these items that you're buying well enough that you can sell well enough.
Yeah.
They have a similar rule. Good, bad, and ugly. The good you nurture, the bad, if you can change, you change, and the ugly,
Yeah. These are just general things. I'm not going to spend too much time going into very detailed product, but I'm just to give you an example. I was in Australia 20 years ago, and one of the things that I tried in Australia were corn cakes instead of rice cakes. They were corn cakes, and they were really good. important. And it's like someone has to bring these things into the US. And it took like 5 years or whatever, but today, if you look in the rice cake aisle in any store around here, it's almost all corn cakes. So, yes, some things, it's the mince from Australia, it's the little things like that, but that's the type of thing. If someone hasn't done it yet, sometimes that's your opportunity. And how about you over there? Do you have anything that you can think of, or anybody that you can think of?
Well, England has good products, but nothing that I have connection to.
Nobody that you know in England has connection to people or farm. You're going to hit a lot of dead ends, by the way. Not everything you think is going to work out. You may think right now, oh my God, I have the
Sell
perfect
bags.
end. You're going to call them and it's going to be a complete dead end.
So I worked with somebody, I know somebody that has a business in beds, but they're not going to help me.
In beds,
Yeah. Can't do much of that over here.
I have,
But England does have good products that they don't sell on Amazon here.
Sell them on Amazon in the UK.
So what, the beds?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the products that you don't find here, like the chocolates, the mints, the coffee,
it's not
instant
just,
coffee.
it's not, by the way, food is one of the, is pretty much the fastest growing area of sales on Amazon. So food is definitely interesting. It's not something that everybody is involved in, plus you can still private label food. But I need you to really try to think about this. Try to think about, and then the other thing that you can do is, you go to a trade show, right? Most of the people today at any trade show you're going to go to, you're like, oh no, another religious Jew. But there's always that one person that you really hit it up with, you know, for some reason, either you just plunk down on their couch because you're really tired and you just strike up a conversation, or he likes the same beer that you like, or whatever it is, for some reason. That same guy that just told no to 50 other Jews may say, oh, this guy's different, he's really cool. I never found another guy that likes the same beer as me, or that, you know. So you may say that I'm going to go down to a trade show, you're going to be frustrated out of your mind, you're going to be walking around, and then you're going to come home, and one or two of them turn out to be, and they make everything worthwhile. So this is a huge thing for me. Over the years, I've gone to probably 100 trade shows, and in every trade show, statistically, I come home with one or two contacts that end up being something. And I'll tell you, a trade show can be expensive, it's extremely exhausting. If you don't hate it the first time, I guarantee you at least by the second or third time you wish that you'd never have to go to another trade show in your life. But in reality, everybody's there, and if it's a specific industry, if it's the industry of beds, or if it's the industry of anything else, that can be your end. So, just to get back to what I'm talking about, the ultimate connection is a connection with either a brand or a manufacturer, like that you have the right people to call inside the company, that the company cares about you, that they want you to represent their product, that you can give them a good story. Now, Andy, why don't you come here? I just want, if you can give an anecdote, you don't have to say the name of the company that you've done this with, but just how you convinced the company to allow you to.
So when you said a trade show, if you remember, I once showed up in the airport and Israel was standing over there in Davening, and I was there together with somebody else, another guy from Crown Heights, who had a job, a regular job that he was doing okay with, but he wanted to go into another business. He said he wants to go online, so I said, oh, if you want to try to do it, I'm going to this and this show, it doesn't cost me money for, you don't have to pay for food, you don't have to pay for a hotel room, because I could change that room with two beds. So I'm just asking you one favor, don't follow me throughout the day. You know, we're leaving, we'll meet up again 7 o'clock at night. He said, just give me pointers, and I believe, I spoke to people, like, you know, I read books, and I spoke to people, other people that are businessmen. The connection that you make with a company is not by being, you know, Moshe Gross. You know, sometimes I see people that I know try to open up an account, and I wish I could take a hammer and knock sense into their head. It's not like, oh, I'm this and this guy, we have a big, huge business, I tried that one time, and the guy told us, an Israeli guy said, you guys are green, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. It's about making a connection to the person. It could be totally unrelated to the fact you want to buy from them or anything else. Just make a connection, you know, to start a chat. There's always these old Jewish guys that are like reps for these companies. And when they see a Jewish guy walking, they might hate a religious person throughout the whole year. But the fact that there's a Jewish guy walking by now, and it's lunchtime or it's dinner time almost, and they're bored, they're going to open up a conversation with you and start talking about, oh, where are you from, where are you, whatever. That's my pointers that I told that guy. Today, he already has a few employees working, he rents a warehouse space.
That's great.
From those stuff, if I wanted to, I can tell you like a few stories that happened to me. I could go on and on. I opened up a lot of doors. And
I
I'll
just
tell
want
you,
to, something very specific, if you don't mind. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but there's a company that he bought a product from a specific company. Let's call it Anchor for the argument's sake right now. And so someone sold them a whole bunch of them, and he listed them on Amazon. And then Amazon, he got a letter from the company saying that you are not authorized to sell it. Take your products off immediately, otherwise we're going to sue you. So rather than just running scared, they contacted him and said, listen, you see that we have the products, why don't we at least talk?
first of all, when we bought the products the first time, it was bought through a legitimate source. That's number one.
Yeah, that's
So we said, we started like negotiations. We'll tell you who we bought it from. It's legitimate, and work with us. But they ignored us. Then we
Amazon
said,
says?
huh?
Amazon called you?
It started out with Amazon, but it had the company's legal team, and it's a company that's very, very tight. They and then they said, show us the prices that you paid for it, and they said we promise we'll work with you, but they didn't work with us. They left us hanging. So we checked out. It's a cell phone related item. So we went to the next cell phone show that they made. We specifically went there to find this company, and we were hanging around the whole day around the booth to read the people's badges till we were able to see the badge of the guy who actually contacted us and spoke to us on Amazon. And it actually wasn't with my partner, Ari, and he was like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Ari from the Prune Danish. And the guy almost had a heart attack. Like, how do you have the chutzpah to come down here and to, and to talk to me? He said, listen, we were 100% with you. Work with me. And then the guy promised, and the conversation was for about 6 minutes, was about him working with us. Then it went into everything else. He lives in California, he travels a lot, he's away from his family. I feel, it's so bad, there's a kosher place that's not really kosher, and once in a while there's a Jewish person that does business. Anyways, it's 2 years later, I bought from them more than $2 million. I don't want you guys to start counting my money, but it's a price protected item. So my profit is almost guaranteed. The price doesn't fall apart, and it's all from not being scared, but it's also not from it's knowing how to talk to the person, and it's not we weren't Moshe Gross. My whole first break was somebody was good to me, also like a crazy Ashkafa Prata story, but the guy said, you're lucky that you're learning this lesson with me. Try to play yourself to be a whole big guy. But I checked you guys out, he washed us down on the floor. He was an Israeli guy. Then he said, Achim Anachnu, I'll help you out. But really, that was the best piece of advice that he was able to give was, don't make yourself, you're not if you're not in the closeout business, you're not a closeout. Some people do try to get, and the people that I know, or even like this guy that went to the shows, he initially introduced himself as a guy who does business buying and selling. But once you already deal enough, once you have a sales guy, you're already buying from the company, they see that you're serious, so they don't want to lose the account. So then, they want to say, oh, I want to buy, I want to sell on Amazon.
Yeah, so, I mean, the general gist of what you're hearing over here is that this is the ultimate connection. Otherwise, you're gonna always be chasing your tail in every way possible. We discussed about Amazon shutting you down, questioning where you're buying your product from. You have to be scared of buying counterfeit products. So the ultimate thing is that you're dealing with the company that makes the product. They know where you're selling it. So how it's gonna happen, I can't tell you right now, but I tell you, if you try hard enough and if you knock on enough doors, it's gonna happen. And you only need a couple of relationships like this, and you'll be one of the rich people in Crown Heights in no time. So,
I have one more thing, and bite your tongue. A lot of times you're like, who does this guy think? He told me off or whatever. Just bite your tongue. That's probably the biggest, the most important thing. Don't tell the person off right away. You follow up with them, and don't say, oh, you told me to follow up or whatever. And one person, you deal with one company like this, and he himself will introduce you
To
you know,
others.
to other companies. They'll be like, oh, you know, there's another guy, there's a person that we sell to that bought this and this merchandise, and he buys from us and he's stuck selling it. So one person will 100% lead. If they
not
like
just
you-
that, it's even when you yourself, he says Sony trusts me to sell their products on Amazon, and you know how Sony is about their product. And you say that to Panasonic or you say that to Samsung, they're like, oh, Sony trusts you? Okay, so let's sit down and talk. You know, basically, once you have an in, you can parlay that into many different. It's very important. We're spending time on this, but I can't tell you how that break is going to happen. This is an example of the first thing that I wanted to focus on, because this is the ultimate thing you're aiming for. This is the ultimate thing you're aiming for. The second thing, and this is how my entire Amazon business started, is that I don't even know if I should put this into the category of I'm going to put this into the category of need. Someone told me, this was actually before the Amazon days really, someone told me that I need to buy, it's impossible for me to get this new Canon SLR. And this is 14 years ago, Canon had just released their first SLR cameras. They were impossible to get. They were back-ordered for months and months and months.
DSLR.
I'm sorry, the digital one, right? So I was looking for, like, okay, I heard, forgot about it, and then I was buying something on Dell one day. And I was like, Dell has like now selling accessories or something. At that time it was a new thing, and that Canon SLR, I'm like, what? They have it in stock, and not just that, they had 10% off all the accessories. And this person had told me that I'm going to pay you more than retail for it. I said, hey, I don't have any money whatsoever, but I have a credit card, so it was $2,200 a camera. 10% off came out to $1,980 a camera. I bought 8 cameras, which was exactly the max out of all my credit cards combined. And I bought them, I went out on a limb, and I was really excited. I got the cameras, and I go over to him, I got your cameras. Now I would like to sell them to you, and he's like, so how much do you want? So I said, I'm going to sell them to you at retail, $2,200. He's like, I don't need them anymore. I'm like, what? I don't have a second option over here. This is it. This is my business. I mean, so I said, what am I going to do now? Amazon was not an option at the time. Amazon didn't even have the possibility. So the only option was eBay. So I looked at eBay. I'm like, whoa, people are paying a lot of money for this camera on eBay. So I opened an eBay account, listed the camera, and I ended up selling them all for $3,000 each. And they sold in like 2 days. And that was basically the beginning of the business. So there's a couple of things over here. Number one, I fell into it purely by someone happened to mention to me that he's looking for this item. I happened to have come across it while I was looking at something else, and then I couldn't sell it to him, so I ended up selling it somewhere else. So basically, a lot of beginnings of things happen exactly that way. So need can come that Amazon tells you they're looking for a product, or a friend of yours. This happened to a friend of mine, a specific story like this. He's like, trying to buy a cover for my Weber grill, and I go to AJ Madison, which is the big appliance store around here, and it's back ordered for 3 months. I'm like, a grill cover back ordered for 3 months? How could that possibly be? If it's back ordered for 3 months, that means that you must be able to make money with it. So he built an entire business based on the fact. This is now 3 years later. He built an entire business on the fact that his grill cover was back ordered from AJ Madison, right? So what's going to happen? What that thing is? Need. Okay. First one is the idea of working with a company. Second one is that you're trying to fill a specific need. Many times, trying to fill a specific need ends up leading, if you allow it to, it ends up leading to a crazy amount of opportunity. If you hear it, like you listen on the radio and you're like, no, everybody wants this latest PlayStation 4. Everybody, whatever you hear, like something that you hear, your brother tells you, your friend tells you, Amazon tells you, need-based buying is very often a very successful beginning, and it's a way that you can make money. The thing you have to be careful about is that it's easy to overpay for a product when everybody's looking for it, and then if suddenly everybody gets it in again, then you're stuck with it. So you have to make sure that you know a little bit more, and we discussed a little bit about how to do research on how low the product has gone, try to find out. Many times when it comes to the holiday season, there's toys, Tickle Me Elmos, and who knows what other toys over the years. They're must-have toys, and very often they don't know which ones are going to be the must-have toys of the season until December comes around. And then suddenly, they produced 100,000 because that's how much they thought they would sell, and suddenly 10 million people want this toy. So it's not available anywhere, but if you, a smaller guy still, if you're starting your business, you may walk into Toys R Us, or you may walk in, you may have something and you pick up like literally, you pull 10 dolls off the shelf, that's what people do. And then you go ahead and you sell them, you can very often sell them for double, triple the price.
What about the reverse where they tell you, what if they tell you this following item is in need, to sell on FBA or whatever, or stuff. But what if they told 20 other sellers that item and now you've ordered hundreds of them, but everyone else has shipped them in and now so how do you know how many to order when you get a notice from Amazon that, sell this item, it's out of stock, or sell this item, it needs to be?
Okay, so first of all, that's a good question. Usually if Amazon's asking for it, that means nobody has it. And if nobody has it, then that doesn't mean that nobody tried to get it. It means that nobody was able to get it very often. But sometimes there's an item that just became very hot on Amazon, and nobody knew it was a hot item, and only one person was selling it ever, and then they send out this email to a whole bunch of people. It does happen. So you really have to try to differentiate. If you do your research and you see everybody else has it, and you say, maybe I shouldn't be going too crazy with it, let me sell a few and then I'll move on. But again, ultimately, research is something that is made up of 10 different elements. We discussed a lot of the elements from camel, and looking at Amazon's price and the amount of reviews and the sales rank, etc. These are the things that combine to create a picture for you to know. You can also look if Walmart is in stock, is Best Buy in stock, is Toys R Us in stock, or whatever, Home Depot, whatever product you happen to be selling, if it's a medical supply.
Just to add on the research part, there's some of the flash sites, they use a tool, it's called invisible toolbar. You put in an item or a model number. This is what they do for the research also. So besides for the price on Amazon, you want to see what it sells for everywhere else. So you'll see on Amazon it sells.
This is in Firefox? Or?
Yeah. So you'll see that's a camel. It's selling for, the lowest it went to was $19.95. But you see that there's 3 stores that have it available for $14 with free shipping. That just means that that means that you have to be very careful because the price will go lower on Amazon because it's selling for a lower price everywhere else. There's another thing that's a little bit of a trick that I use sometimes, and I'm sure that most people haven't thought about this. If you take an ASIN from Amazon and you put it into Google, so it shows you the Google results. So Google and Yahoo and Bing all have different cache pages. That means they take snapshots of the pages. So you could go and you could search, there's like a little arrow you pull down, you put in the ASIN, you see a link to a Google page, and you look on Google, look on Amazon, look on Yahoo, look at the cache page, and you'll see Amazon, the cache page, like how it's not a live page. It's like
take a photograph.
Google took almost like a photograph of the page. It'll show you what the page looked like. Let's say somebody put an article on a page. If they took a snapshot of that page and then they delete it, you can still see the cache page.
The way Google search works, basically, the reason they're able to search billions of pages in a quarter of a second is because instead of searching through the entire internet when you do a search, they create a picture of the internet continuously, once a day, 10 times a day.
Different pages get updated. Amazon gets updated very, very frequently, and it'll say on top, this is a snapshot of, from now from last month. I have to think of
You want to plug in? It's too hard.
It's too complicated. When any page you go to on the web, go to Google, Google anything, Google a word, Google Rebbe, and you'll see there's a little arrow next to the page.
It shows when's the
That
last
shows,
time.
hover over this result, you see that little arrow right over there?
Yeah.
Which one? Oh, the little
Yeah,
down.
like that.
Okay.
And you see it says
That's
cache.
Got it.
Right near the result, it's gonna say,
So if I click on cash, it'll show
go
me
to anything,
something.
you see right over there, click on that. And That might be the exact same, click on cash, that might be the exact same page, but over here, so if it's an item on Amazon, you could really see, you could see which sellers are selling it. Sometimes you'll see that 3 weeks ago, the same schmuck that's trying to push the goods to you, he was trying to sell it himself, he lowered the price to $9.99, he had it over there for 3 weeks, now he picked his price up to $47, and he's telling you, take it, an excellent deal, you know that the guy's full of crap. And then another thing is, the same way, put an ASIN, find the ASIN, you know what the Amazon number is for an item? Take that, like let's say take this thing here, copy that.
That's usually no that much. This is a news article.
Right here, Amazon, click on that thing,
This is that now.
click on cash. You see this, it says what day this page is from? This is from June 1st, it's from yesterday, so now it's selling for LB Home Sign for $9.49. Click on the live page from here, click on the page from here.
This is a snapshot.
Here, LB Home Sign for $9.99. You understand, you can see you can see now,
No, you can just go over it. It's supposed to give you a little preview of the page, right?
No, but then this is phase one. You do this in Yahoo and in Bing and in Google. That is another web page that's got.
One second, you go into the page or you don't go into the page?
Oh, go into the page.
You click through?
Yeah. Click
Oh, you click into the
cash
cash page. When you
page.
click on the cash page, it doesn't take you to the way it is right now. It takes you to the last.
Now there's another one. There's an every. No, hold on. It gets even better. I'll tell you something. It gets even better.
Where's the arrow that tells you what it was?
so mind-blowing, I can't even.
Oh, I see people that.
It's a page open.
Okay, so copy that. Right here. Click on this thing right here. Click go.
There's something called Wayback Machine.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about now. Click this
Way
cash.
back.
It's called archive.org. That goes even a step further. You could see cache pages for 2 years.
20
It
years.
looks like a graph and you see lines and you click, you could go to the next page. They could jump through. It depends how popular the page is. I think I'll make it Google Wayback Machine.
Everybody is. It's called
Wayback Machine.
Wayback
Next space Wayback Machine. So you could, if you have the proper URL, which is usually, like the Amazon.com/whatever, and you could really see history. Like last year's holiday season, this item went up. Or you could see last year's holiday season, this item was way down. Because Camel doesn't show you, let's say third-party sellers, if they charge shipping and handling, or if it was, see in here you would put a URL. No, you have to put the whole Amazon URL. What are the pages? Take it. No, that's too much. Go back to,
Can't comprehend it.
what is this Amazon page? Let's go to the live page.
You want to look at Yahoo or eBay or something. It's pretty interesting.
Put this in there. You see this, they have a 2014, we're ready 2015.
No,
That's a
it's a-
snapshot of the page over here.
So, the further back you go, the fewer snapshots.
Hey, your father used to teach in seventh grade all the time?
Yes.
You look just like him, the same classes that he had 35 years ago.
Take that as a compliment.
Rabbi Lino was known as a great
That's
teacher,
it.
Yes.
Or 16, a
the
snapshot.
best teacher in the entire.
Was he a
I
teacher?
missed him out.
So you see where this thing is from? 7, look, right here's an item, here, this was a pretty good item, by the way. See, it went down already to $7.99. Not even by Amazon. In August, in October, here, in September, it was still $7.99. So you looking the whole time, you see it went down to $6.99 here.
Good.
Yeah.
So when it come down,
We'll see this.
Camel won't show you all the, like, if somebody's selling it for $25, let's say they're charging $4 shipping and handling, so really they're selling it for $29.
Let's see what Apple.com.
So, not to go too far off again, this is so we had need based and then product based. So you have a product. You have access to a product. You have access to someone says, hey, listen, I have 1,000 of these available right now. Are you interested? So you're getting the product, and this is what happens very, very often. You develop, you have friends and people, and you get an email list, and they send you, the people that you meet at the show and that you don't develop a really close relationship with, and you just get onto their email list, and they send out products, or they call you and they say, I have 1,000 of this, 10,000 of that, or whatever it is. So that's product based. That's not relationship based, it's not need based, but you're getting offered a product. Now you get offered this product for $5. Is it worth it? Can you make money with it? Can you do research? Now we discussed a lot of product based buying over the last in the last session, because ultimately I gave you guys products and I told you, do your research, find out can you make money if I sell it to you for this much money, and you did the research associated with it. It's ultimately the stupidest way to buy, but it can lead to the best thing, because if you buy something from a company, then you can now develop a relationship with the company. Maybe until now you were just another email address on their email list. Maybe you were just another phone call. But as soon as you actually go ahead and you buy something, you get them on the phone, you can start developing a relationship with them, and maybe next time it's not going to be just a product. Why is product-based buying the stupidest thing? Because generally speaking, if you're getting it offered, everybody else is also getting it offered, and you're getting either people's leftovers or you're splitting with a lot of other people. So what ends up happening is a lot of time, even if it's a great deal, even if you think you can make tons of money on it, but before you realize it, your 50 pieces are going up with the 22,000 other pieces that were sold to other sellers. So it's a very important way in. It's very important for knowledge. It's very important for you to know what's out there. Let's say you have a relationship with a company. The company is Apple. They sell you the iPhone for $590, an iPhone. But then you get product lists and you see that others, third-party people on the street are offering you the iPhone for $500, then you know, oops, I have to be concerned. I should not be buying this from Apple. I need to renegotiate my deal with Apple. I need to find out what's going on. Is it fake? Is this not US goods? So there's a lot of reasons for you to get it, but if you spend too much time on it, you're going to end up going in circles, and that even if you end up making money, you're just as good as the deal that you just did, because the next deal is not following this one. It's not like the next, and you have to try again, see if there's another product. So I'm not telling you not to do this. It's really important to do it, but your focus should always be on the first thing we discussed. Your focus should always be, and sometimes you make a decision, and I find, I don't know what you've experiencing in your business. Overall, I try to not do this anymore unless I have a very strong reason to believe otherwise. But Mendy was saying before that he had this vendor where they basically made a deal. I'm going to tell you where I bought it, I'm going to tell you how much I paid, and in return the vendor was going to give them a relationship, etc. But in reality, as soon as they got the information that they wanted, they were out the door. So just be careful. When someone tells you, if you buy these from me, I'm going to make sure that you're my first phone call in the future, you're going to be the guy, you're going to be the person that I'm going to speak to, and generally speaking, it ain't going to happen. They're going to still sell it to the person that's going to pay them the most money for it. So unless you know otherwise, unless you have a real reason to know, sometimes it's because they're super desperate, sometimes, but first of all, if they're trying to push something too hard to you, generally speaking, for some reason or another, you're not going to end up making money with it. But just remember, just buying a product for the sake of building a relationship with someone is a very, very dangerous road to go down. And I used to do it much more often, and I stopped, I backed away. I don't know what your experience is with it, but I find myself sitting on piles of products that I bought to build relationships, and I don't know how many relationships I can show for that effort specifically.
It's not an easy answer.
As I said, if you have a very specific reason to know otherwise, or to believe otherwise, it's definitely something. The last one, we're going to spend some more time with the last one, because the first one is really important. The second ones in between are the ones that are important to get you to the first one. And the fourth one is where you're building your own products. Generally speaking, if you're building your own products, if you successfully build your own products, you end up being in control of them. You can create your own prices, You can make sure that the pictures stay the same, that the images, that the listings aren't in your control, that you can control the quality. Nobody can accuse you of selling counterfeit product. Nobody can accuse, like, it's yours.
No one else can sell a similar product and you'd be screwed in any case?
Yes.
Except, give me an example, what do you mean?
Wait for that part, don't jump into that.
I don't want to spend too much time with it. I am going to touch on it today. I'm not going to go too much into detail because it's a whole discussion for another time. Yes, if all you mean with your own product is that I import, why don't we go with the ones from last week that we like? If all I do is import a silicone mold for an ice cube, then someone says, "Oh my God, ice cube molds are selling really well on Amazon," and then you'll have everybody else also importing their own silicone ice cube molds, which are easily found on Alibaba and all the other sourcing websites. And then when you go on Amazon, you find 600 different brands selling the same exact silicone product, then obviously the value of your brand is not going to be quite as high as if you have a unique product or something specific. But even in a product like that, where it does become price-based, etc., you end up, if you have already had a head start and you built up a reputation and people already gave you good reviews, people may still pay a lot more money for your product just because they trust you than they will pay for anybody else's product, even if it happens to be an identical product to the one that you're selling. So it's something that you have to take it in consideration. If all you're doing is copying someone else, chances are it's going to end up a price war, which you may very well lose. So if you could try to focus on something a little bit more unique, the reason I want to spend more time on this and another time is because I consider it to be much more the future for the average seller than anything else. Because as Mendy can tell you, that even the relationships that he does have with suppliers, what ends up happening is if the guy that your relationship is with gets fired or he leaves the company and he's telling you from now on you're going to deal with him, but that person doesn't have the same level of relationship with you, you're still dependent on how the company is run, what their strategy is for this quarter. They'll have a meeting, they have a strategy meeting at the end of the quarter, and they say, you know what, we don't want any more third-party sellers on Amazon. And this stuff does happen all the time. Happens to you. So ultimately, the best thing you can do, the highest level, is if you can get patented products and really unique products, but that requires a lot of work. So it's not the first step, but it's a good step to keep in mind as a future direction. And if you have someone, a friend of yours, or an acquaintance, or a company, or someone from a different country that invented a really cool product, and right now they started selling it in Australia or in China or wherever, you may want to find a way of importing that and building a business around that and being the exclusive importer or the exclusive partner in the United States. These type of things definitely carry a lot more value. That's why I really try to push people to work with the relationships that they have and with the ideas that they have, rather than just doing what everybody else is doing. Yeah.
How does it kick off? So let's say I have a fear, right? I want to import something, but nobody's searching for it because it's something that doesn't exist.
Okay. Again, this is going to be part of the other discussion in more detail, but generally speaking, you're going to have to find. There's a few different ways of doing it.
Keywords?
One of them is to go to one of those sites like Kickstarter or Indiegogo or one of those sites where you launch a product and you get people to invest money in your idea. You can do some research on it. Actually, Kickstarter is based in Brooklyn. I went to visit them a couple of weeks ago. So Kickstarter is one of those companies, and if you invent a really cool product, you can launch it over there. But besides launching it over there, you can actually get publicity out of it out of being. And people sell all kinds of different products. So they can be a design product, people get their movies funded, their art projects and different things. However, it's still your responsibility to get people, but then you try to do Facebook campaigns, you can pay people to market it for you, etc., etc. And you build a hype around your product, and then you can afterwards go to Amazon and say, hey, look at this product. People have shown that they're really interested in this product. I want you to invest money and marketing into making this product really hot. Amazon has programs called Amazon Exclusive. Amazon Exclusive is where they exclusively, if you give them exclusivity on the product, you can always pull that exclusivity, but you can, if you say, I'm only selling this to you, Amazon, I'm only going to sell it on Amazon, they put you on their front page, they send out marketing emails, they allow you to put videos and different things to put it in front of people's mind. The other thing to do is, in much simpler terms, assuming that you're selling a cover for a cell phone, and this is a really bad idea, so I'm going to tell you, please don't do it. But let's say you want to be another one of the 70,000 people that makes covers for iPhones. You want to find a way of creating associations between your product and the product that you're, either the product that you're making it for, it's going to be that you want to put into the title that it's for the iPhone 6 and the best fitting cover for the iPhone 6. You want to maybe compare it somewhat to some of your competitors' products, which now is highly dubious. I don't know how long you can get away with it, but you can say that better than OtterBox and who knows what, but there's different things that you can throw in, or you can have a comparison in your text that shows why your product is made out of a stronger. So a lot of these things actually become searchable. So there's 1,000 little things that you can do. You can send it out to reviewers. There's a legal program on Amazon that you're allowed to send out products to their top reviewers. Amazon gives you access. People that are rated the top reviewers on Amazon, you say, look, the first 500 covers I'm going to send out. You can give coupons out to people to buy it for free in exchange for reviewing the product for you. And when you get a lot of product reviews, or you get a lot of people that buy it right away, you get featured on Amazon as new and hot, what's new, what's exciting, top-rated products, all different type of things that you can do to a product add to the cachet. Made in Brooklyn, made in the USA, Swiss chocolate, best chocolate in the world, natural, organic, everything that you can do, like little things to associate with your product is what ultimately is going to put you.
Keywords on Amazon, keywords, ad campaigns on Amazon.
That's very important.
Which helps for any new item.
When she-
And then if you Google, if you have like an exclusive kind of item, you Google it and you'll see people write it.
Just yell.
Invested in Palm Pilot handhelds that they were going to need for the next couple of years. Anyways, the
I
paid,
did that.
yeah, the paid searches on Amazon itself, and soon eBay is going to have that also. So if your item was, I don't know, a hammock for babies that's made out of marijuana leaves, whatever it could be.
No, don't laugh, by the way. That's
So you can put the right kind of keywords in there that when somebody goes and searches hammock baby on Amazon, they'll see everything else, but they'll also see your theme, and it's going to pick up. Eventually, each sale is going to make a lift out of it. When somebody searches hammock, it will be on the top. And then you have to find blogs that people, especially if you have a unique item, you have to find blogs out there, blogs or Twitter or anything that people speak about your item. Let's say, if you had a battery recharge that was able to recharge batteries, and you don't have to, even non-rechargeable batteries, as long as you put it into your freezer with, 40% alcohol, I don't know, let your mind race what could happen. And then you find people write about it on the blog, they're like, is there something like this? And then you write, sure, you could buy this and this item on Amazon, you're saying, so right there you'll get one week, you'll get.
The more specialized you get, the more specifically you target. Like, are you scared of hurting your baby's skin? Or like you go to mothers for safe baby lotions, and when you put it in like BPA free or FDA,
The more
silicone.
silicone you get, the easier it will be for you to use these like blogs or social or things like that.
Organic, vegan.
And then Amazon's going to see, hey, a lot of clicks are coming to this, something's popular. Then they'll see, hey, one sale happened, a second sale happened.
So I need to do this just for Amazon to consider selling it on Amazon?
No, you are going to be.
You sell it on Amazon right away, but in
I know.
order for you to drive traffic to Amazon, I sell things through I sell through a lot of pieces on Amazon, But as far as Amazon was concerned, it was a dead item. I made the traffic come to it from somewhere else. You understand? But on Amazon itself, it's a time consuming product. It won't happen overnight. I don't think.
So this is important. So it doesn't happen in a day unless it's like a really unique
Keywords. You
situation.
put keywords into Amazon and you play with those keywords to see if it generated sales. And the Amazon ad campaigns doesn't cost a lot of money, but it's going to generate.
Sponsored helps. Amazon
Yes.
sponsored helps.
Responsive with it, yeah.
But be careful with it.
It's not so expensive.
Like if you're selling sunscreen and there's 10,000 sunscreens on Amazon, and if you're going to sponsor the word sunscreen on Amazon, the chances of someone finding you for the sponsor click and clicking on it is almost zero. So if your sunscreen happens to be a safe sunscreen or a vegan sunscreen or organic sunscreen or whatever, so these are the type of words you want to focus on to try to make it get a unique type of customers. Like, I'm only looking for organic products.
So somebody in your company, let's say, sits there all day doing that?
A lot of times
Yeah, but for that I paid outside people.
you
to
can
do-
so there's
to,
people you can hire people on the outside to do this for you.
to find blogs that are relevant to the things that you're selling. But just from the sponsored product ads and keywords, you'll eventually get a sale, and reviews will help tremendous. But be careful, because if you send your item out to product reviewers, if the item is crappy,
They're going to be honest about it.
they're going to be honest about it. That's why they're a top reviewer on Amazon. So you got your 2 good reviews, and the sales started picking up, and all of a sudden you got 1 bad review that you gave the person the item for free. So you have to be careful.
Yeah. I don't want to, as I said, we're not going to spend too much time. The reason why I actually spent any time with it tonight is because it's also relevant to all the other 3 things that you do. Sometimes you have a vendor that you're really close with, and say that vendor, for argument's sake, again, is Anchor over here, because that's what we're dealing with today. And Anchor says, look, we have all our battery packs sell really well, but we have this one, it's a real stinker. We bought in 90,000 pieces. Nobody wants it. We got a decommitment from Walmart. They said they're going to take 90,000 pieces. Then they said, no, cancel our order. We had them already made. They're shipped. What can I do? Can you help me out? And if you can be that guy, if you have that relationship, and then you do some sponsored ads or figure out all these things that we just discussed on Amazon, first of all, you may make a ton of money, specifically if it happens to be a really good product and just never got the marketing support that it was supposed to. So if you can be the guy that creates that, you may end up selling, it may end up becoming the best, because an item that they would have usually sold to you for $25, they're going to sell it to you for $5 because they're thrilled just
Make sure the price is right.
yeah. But I'm saying, so that basically, even if you're dealing with vendors, with sourcing product, or with having a product that someone is offering you, and these things always come into play. So there's always things that you can do to make them more exciting and to make them sell much better. So these are basically the 4 main categories. And if you ask me where I would put my initial focus, if I was you, I would put on anything that leads towards these type of relationship. That means it can be by buying products because of needs or because of, but always have in mind, my ultimate goal is to build a relationship with this company so I can harness this in the future. You want to be really cool, you want to know when their wife's birthdays are, their kids, their dogs, the more you know, don't come across as a guy that just does it for the sake of doing it, but if you sincerely seem to care, or if you sincerely care, maybe you really do sincerely care, I don't know. But I always sincerely cared until I didn't need it anymore. But the more you care about someone, the more they know that you care about them personally, they will care about you personally, and they will say, I know you're a small player on Amazon, and we have enough big guys that we're dealing with. I want you to be successful. I'm going to do whatever I could to make you successful. So whether you're buying because you happen to have filled the need, or you're buying because someone offered you a specific product, always let it try to lead you towards that relationship. And on the other hand, what you may want to start doing, and we're going to discuss this in more detail, you can start simply by importing some product, or by building your own brand name and starting it slow. The beautiful thing is, and I tell this, the world has changed. Nowadays, like even Alibaba is considered the major sourcing website in the world, right? You build relationships with every manufacturer in China and everything, right? They're like, how many you could buy? 30,000 pieces or whatever. Now Alibaba themselves has a website called AliExpress. AliExpress allows you to literally place an order for 12 of these. And then you can put your name on it. And you say, I am now a brand. I now sell. Huh?
And you guys deliver it in a week.
Yeah, so in 1 week from today, and nobody on Amazon is ever going to know if you're a 10,000 piece brand or a 12 piece brand. And that is amazing because you can test things. Who cares if you overpaid? Who cares if you're not making money on the 10 pieces that you bought? If you see that it's an item that you can build into a brand, rather than having bought over 30,000 pieces, you bought 12. Who cares? 12, you throw them in the garbage if it doesn't work out. But
So how do you build a brand when you're ordering from AliExpress?
we're going to spend, this is, I'm going to push that one off to when we discuss China's building brands. I think it's a very important topic, and I want to make sure, because ultimately the real ultimate goal in buying and selling would be to be the owner of your own brand, of your own patents, of designing your own products, having people that work with you or representing other designers, and really try to build around that. This is it for me. Mandy, you have anything that you...
I don't know if this is going to go, if it's going to contradict anything that you
No,
said.
you should, if you have a different...
Along the line of buying products and working with brands, from my experience and from speaking to a lot of people, the number one thing that companies are trying to do now is companies don't want their items to be killed online. Right? Everybody agrees with that. So whether it's Apple, that's like, you know, the king of kings, or something a little bit smaller, or it's a company that sells food, you know, popcorners or whatever it is, they're trying to squeeze and to protect their, you know, companies that make electronics are starting to serialize. Any company that's not just like a, you know, a fly-by-night, you know, pop-up shop company that's going to last, you know, a company that makes battery packs for phones, but, you know, 80% of the people that plug their phones into a battery pack have to buy new phones 3 days later. Let's say something like that happens. Or any real company is trying to squeeze their whole distribution from the top, that they know everything that's going on. And one of the main things that they're trying to do is they're trying to say that they want to have us, they sell to these 10 distributors that sell their product, they sell directly to these few hundred companies, and everything else, they came to realize that we'd rather sell to Amazon sellers that will work with us than to just let all the products be, you know, just let everything loose on the street, and you're not going to, and then everyone who wants to buy it, you know, or we're not going to protect it. We'll say, or companies that end up doing it, they say, we want to sell it ourselves on Amazon. But they're not really, a big company is not an Amazon business. The whole integration, shipping, Amazon will shut down a big company for not shipping their orders out on time, just like they'll do it to a small company. So they realize, you know, we're not able to do it. We'd rather work with people that will work with us. And very, very big companies are saying this kind of thing. Then the question is, who's going to be the lucky ones that are going to be able to buy products from them or to resell their products on Amazon? And the answer is, it's going to be to the people that make, not as far as a bragging right or whatever, to the person that made a nice impression, you know, on the sales guy or on the, or you know, because ultimately everybody knows Amazon's a monster that they can't control, but what they want to do is they want to try to contain it as much as possible. So big companies are saying, you know what, they're telling all their distributors, you know, they have 5 huge distributors saying, you resell our item for us. If you can't sell it, you know, any company that they sell to, that has to be approved by them. If you're stuck with all these items, we don't let you go anymore and sell it, you know, and sell it the way you want, you know, or to anyone who you want, just because it's a no-go, it's a dead item. We want to control who you sell it to also. And they're going to say, well, you know, the only person who's going to be able to buy it's an Amazon person, and you might be that lucky person who could sell it on Amazon as long as you make the effort, you know, and make a nice impression. In general, anyone, you know, when I opened myself up to all these marketplaces, you know, even to Newegg, they didn't open up, you know, they already said we have 500 sellers that sell health and beauty, and we have all these things that sell. So the same way it works on the marketplaces to sell, which I'll tell you in a second, that's how it works with buyers. They want to see people who make an effort. In the sense of you just call somebody up and say, oh, you know, every day they get a phone call, but if you actually find out where they're gonna be, you know, there's a story that I have with a can opener, you know that story. We were trying to buy from a company that we just knew that they're a very big seller of merchandise. They had a 1 million square foot warehouse in the middle of America, and all day long they had merchandise coming in and going out. So one day, it was after they had a snowstorm over here, like the blizzard that shut everything down, you couldn't even get gas. I looked at a blog and I saw that this company was going to be in this a very small show that the company was going to be at. So we went there. It happens to be that the company themselves are also Jewish. You know, they know a lot of us, and we probably know 1 or 2 people that work, you know, for them or has done business with them. And somebody said, Mincha, show people for $1 million. And then we sat down and we spoke to the guy, and the guy was like, tell me why I should sell to you over. He said, I walk out of my house, or if I go, you know, sometimes I go shopping in Flatbush, he goes to Pomegranate. And he said, all I have is people saying, here's my business card, I sell on Amazon, sell to me, sell to me. He says, why should I sell to you? So I said, look, I made the effort, I didn't come corner you in Flatbush. I made the effort to come down to see you because I really want to do business. I'm interested in investing in our relationship. It's not just about, you know, a one-off item, you know, see who we are, and we started doing business. Newegg, I emailed the guy that I saw on the portal who's going to be by which shows, and he's like, you know, meet me 6 o'clock in the morning at this in the Starbucks in the lobby of the hotel, and I was there. So, you know, I'm going tomorrow, I'm going to be somewhere. I emailed every possible person that I think I might want to do business with in the future to set up an appointment. The companies that we deal with already, I said, it happens to be, it's not a barn show, but the companies that I already do business with, I may say, you know, set me up with a rep from your company that I can speak to, because ultimately, you know, one person, like, you know, one rep is not going to work there anymore. The companies some companies that I deal with, I know 5 or 6 people, like, you know, like on a friendly basis. You know, one guy, his father became sick, so he wanted to, you know, I'm mixing in a lot of different things there. His father became sick. You know, he wants to know, he's leaving the hospital, doesn't know who to call, he called us up. And he was like, oh, you guys are driving me in the car, it's both of you, you know, I want to speak to, I don't know what to do, whatever, and you just have to, it's not a call that has nothing to do with business, you know, but I know 3 days later, the guy's going to call up and he's going to say, hey, you know, I had this great opportunity, something came up, and it's all from, you know, make an effort is the number one thing. Make a nice impression, you know, I'm telling you, a nice Erlich impression is much more important than a whole big, you know, oh, I have a place, I have 10,000 square feet than I do. You know, the guy's gonna look at your feedback on Amazon, I'll track you down, and we'll see, you know, you have 70 feedback or whatever. That might not be what they're looking for, or it might be what they're looking for, but they wanna start with someone who's, you know, there's a very big company that a new guy came into the company. We did a few $1 million of business with them in 2014. The new guy came into business, and a new guy became the chief operating officer. And his new thing is, we're going to work on Amazon ourselves. We're going to sell our products. So he hired a consultant that's an ex-Amazon person, who I happen to know just from traveling and meeting him also. So the first thing that I did was, I went and I saw on LinkedIn, how do I use on LinkedIn also, you know, if you want to get in touch with a company or with a person, you can find the guy through LinkedIn. So I saw on LinkedIn that this guy is like a first relationship friend. So the first thing that I did was, I said, I want to meet you in your office. So they're like, sure, I have a brand. He didn't know what I wanted to come meet him for. He's in Atlanta. So I made a ticket to go to Atlanta. I come to his office, and it's somebody that I met already, so I have a little bit of a relationship with him. And then I slowly broke into the conversation. Hey, what's with, you know, Mr. So-and-so? He's doing, you know, we did so much legitimate business, and now, you know, you cut us off. So he's like, yeah, you know, he's like, what do you want me to answer? I'm the person that they came to try to help them sell on Amazon. So I said, listen, I know that the venture is not going to work, because this big company is not going to be able to, you know, is not going to be able to do it. Put in a, you know, when the right time is going to happen, put in a good word for me that, you know, they should continue working with us. The vendors don't want to see whether it's going to be a brand, you know, for any one of the categories except for importing yourself. Another thing the companies don't want to know is they don't want to have fly-by-night Amazon people that are, I opened up a business in my basement, and I set, it is a very important thing, I opened up a business in my basement, I set up an Amazon account, I buy things, I send them into FBA, because these people, Amazon companies like that, are ultimately hurting their business, which means that, we make an item, us as a company, we make an item, and we have to take in all these costs into consideration. There's warehousing, there's, payroll, there's all the insurances, there's all the freight in and freight out. It comes along, some schmuck opens up an Amazon business, buys the item for $9, he doesn't do his calculations right, and he's selling those items, he's selling it for $12, and he thinks he made a quarter. So you can make a quarter, so as much as you're gonna be, honest and upfront about how your business is, at the same time, make sure you don't underplay yourself, like, oh yeah, I just started yesterday or whatever. You have a business, you have to say, you guys, I want to work with you. Of course, I have to take into consideration, all my expenses, my workers, my warehousing. Don't make yourself sound like you have 100 workers if you don't have workers. And so try to balance those two things out, because the first thing people that they don't want any basement people to buy and sell for a quarter. That's ultimately hurting them. If it's a distributor, the brands that they sell are going to cut them off, because they'll track down who sold what. And if it's a brand themselves, even if it's a brand that's just starting out, they're going to say, hey, we're working with all these stores and we're selling our item for $30, and comes along this guy who has no expenses and he's selling it for $21. You're an idiot for selling it for $21 because there are expenses involved in a business. And number one is why should you kill the price on something right away? But ultimately, the person's not going to work with you. I know I did it. I helped somebody walk the floor of the show for 2 days, and he started a business because he presented himself normally, stood up for himself when he had to, and he followed up afterwards with everybody everyone who we spoke to. That's really the most important. I don't manufacture myself yet, although I do work with brands, people that I built a personal relationship with. Guys they went through all the steps of manufacturing an item. It took them a year. They had an idea to make something, and now I'm going to be the reseller. They're doing retail of the item. That means they sell it to, let's say it's home item. They do a lot of home. They sell it to front gate, and they sell it to, even Hammaker, Schlemmer, or however you pronounce it. They do a lot of business with those companies. But for the web, for Amazon, and for Groupon, and for eBay, and for all those things, I'm going to be the one that's going to sell it for them. We started slow with some products, and now we're going to, those guys, they bought a item that's a electronic item. They bought a brand, one category of a specific brand that they thought they're going to sell at the store. It didn't work on the store shelf. Everything that they delivered came back to them. So they have like 14,000 pieces of a certain item in a few different colors. It happens to be, it's a very hot item. But they can, a business can't sit on something for a long enough time. So after, 90 days, especially if it's almost a year, they have to sell it for them. They have to add, every month that it stays there, add $1 to the cost of an item. So they're willing to sell it now. Instead of them wanting, $20 for an item, they'll sell it for $5 an item. Now, my trick is to be able to sell it. So let's say I commit to buying it. I don't know how good I'll come out at the end, but that was an opportunity that came about. I didn't manufacture it myself, but that's a protected item. Nobody else is selling it. And it looks like myself. I even looked on Amazon. Amazon built out proper product pages for all those items in every single color. So it's in their catalog, but it never went live. So Amazon did show a little bit of interest in it. That's as far as private brands. I do a little bit of business like that, not managing it myself. But those two, make yourself, don't overdo yourself like a big schnitzer. Like a guy walks onto a plane and he always talking about, he says, I spoke to China, I have a funny story with that. Like one of the first few times I ever went somewhere, and this guy was on the plane talking on his Bluetooth. The plane was delayed, everybody was walking back and forth, speaking flappers. Yeah, I spoke to China, they wired the money, didn't wire the money. If this guy, everybody's going to our show, chances are on the plane now, everybody's going to the same, 50-60% of the people are going to the same show. This guy is out of the picture, because for the past hour he drove everybody up the wall with his China and his wires and his this, Don't overdo yourself, don't underdo yourself, don't sell yourself short, you know, like, if numbers don't make sense, and always make sure that the people that you're talking to know that you wanna be their partner in the future, and like, you know, yeah, sure, I have to take into consideration, yeah, you know, I'm not a guy just to buy, you know, a one-time deal thing, and I have a real business, I have to take into consideration my payroll and my warehousing and all that. That's what the people wanna hear.
Thank
And I believe that every time, I do very strongly believe in traveling. Every time you go somewhere, you'll walk away with at least one person or one contact. And once you do it once or twice, you get a very good feeling that hey, you know, I did it at work, look, I started a business, I ordered, the guy told me I have to order $2,000 worth, and I ordered $4,000 worth of goods. You know, and
Alright. By the way, he's not here this day, really.
when I started my business, it's real, someone who,
But now I look up to you, I'm nobody. But, so, again, you got a lot of information, you're not gonna remember everything, but you're gonna remember something. And next time you're gonna bump into someone, or you're gonna have a conversation with someone, suddenly, something that you heard tonight is gonna ring a bell, and it's gonna make sense to you, and it's gonna help you get started. Again, we're here for you and trying to make it work as much as we could. Just to summarize again, that we discussed these 4 different general ideas in buying. In the beginning, it's easier to focus on product-based and on sourcing, on need-based buying, but always make sure that it leads you towards the relationships, because that's where you're going to make the money. And on the side, try to build up your own, build up brands, so that you can have something that is long-term sustainable. The next class, we're going to focus on another platform, on eBay. eBay is arguably, definitely the second most important platform after Amazon. For some people, it's the most important platform. A lot of people only do business on eBay, so it's very important to also focus on eBay. Now, I'm not a major monge in eBay at all. I'm going to defer mainly to Mandy when it comes to that. Mandy actually, talking about relationships, Mandy has very, very strong relationships in eBay, up to the CEO, which he knows personally. It's a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and the CEO is a personal acquaintance of Mandy. So next time, we're going to focus on eBay. And the goal over here is as well to open up eBay accounts and to focus a little bit on the differences between doing business on eBay and doing business on Amazon. Okay? Well, thank you very much.
Next week is next Tuesday I'm in class. You're not going to the other thing.
So,
You're not going to that sponsor that